Imagine having the ability to share your thoughts with everyone you know instantaneously. As quickly as you think of something, it can be published for the whole world to see. Imagine taking 10 minutes out of your day to find out what the people in your life are doing without actually having to go through the tedious burden of talking to them. Imagine conversing with friends and having the movie The Matrix come up in conversation, or the lead singer of the band Pink Floyd. They're arguing about what year it is made or who the lead singer was, but you have the power of easy access to unlimited knowledge, so you're able to tell them both things in a matter of seconds. But they're not that impressed, because access to knowledge is now universal to the human race. It doesn't prove much of anything. If you didn't live in the 21st century, you may be wondering how any of this would be possible. However, the world we live in has grown technologically so much that technology is embedded in most of the things we do. One may say that such power would be a good thing, for it would help us to break past our God-designed boundaries and into unlimited thought and potential. Yet others recognize an increasing and unstoppable threat to our humanity and a darker aspect to the emergence of the light-bearing gods of big tech. Easy access to information doesn't necessarily mean that we have automatic wisdom. Remember, there are two spheres of knowledge. One's good and one is bad. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding, and knowledge of good and evil is the vessel for sin. The internet is an amazing tool, and so is social media, but they can quickly metamorphose from a tool or blessing and into an addiction and a curse. For example, I have access 24 hours a day to the best movies, the best ideas, and everything else the world can offer. But I also have access to the very worst that the world has to offer. This is because the internet has the ability to reflect global reality so convincingly that humanity becomes tricked into believing that it's real. People can become so addicted to all things technological that their human interactions suffer because they don't feel as real, important, or exciting as the on-screen versions. In many ways, tools such as social media actually induce effects similar to drugs and alcohol by raising dopamine levels, manipulating emotions, and manufacturing a false sense of validation. When reality hits, it can often be too hard to bear, as rising suicide rates since the invention of social media have shown. The power of big tech did not begin 10 to 20 years ago with social media. It was made its way into our living rooms long before that. At first, the television appeared to be a helpful tool for families to get things like the news and to be aware of what was going on in the world, as well as the occasional TV dinner. It soon became more helpful for adapting families to the whims of world culture, specifically whatever entities or agencies were controlling the attentions of people's eyes and ears. The television quickly became a false idol, so to speak, a parallel reality that convinced the viewer of its preeminence and omniscience. Families' value systems and morality were like clay for television producers to reform and degrade, molding our minds into complacent products of the culture. Why did we allow this to happen? It was out of our desire for continued knowledge and the easy access to entertainment, unearned wisdom, and unearned pleasure. Instead of playing outside, families gathered around their television sets with buckets of popcorn and watched people live out the adventures and stories that they never could. This was much more exciting than any yard game the family could play. This was the new American adventure, one that could be bought and participated in for a low monthly rate. It's easy to believe that we must be at the pinnacle of technology. Maybe my father thought that when he was laughing at Seinfeld and All in the Family before I was born. However, technology will not stop advancing in the name of knowledge of good and evil. As long as humans have the knowledge of good and evil, as they continue to create and innovate, technology. Movies and video games are becoming more realistic, more entertaining, more overtly violent, and hypersexualized. Television is growing increasingly efficient in shaping people's opinions. The news infiltrates every aspect of our culture, regardless of its accuracy, its truthfulness. Social media becomes a bridge between worlds, which is convenient for an army of trolls to live beneath, ready to devour anyone who dare try to cross the bridge. People can say anything they want to without any consequence or fear of backlash. They simply have to turn off their notification bar. These entities are no longer in it to win it for themselves only, but they have joined forces with one another to coerce humanity's return to their basest instincts of lust, fear, anger, malice, slander, hatred, greed, and envy. They do this efficiently by convincing people that they actually exist to promote the opposite, like loving your neighbor. We may no longer have to pick up our phones and ask when the movie The Matrix was made, because we already feel as though we're living in it. The machines are waging war with humanity and trying to bring us to our knees. I don't pretend to know exactly how much influence either God or his enemy have over the things that we put in front of our eyes all day, every day. But I'd venture to guess that it's a lot. And God would probably only be involved if we were using technology as a tool to glorify him. Since that is pretty rare, Satan probably has a lot of skin in the game, so to speak. He is described as the ruler of this world, the father of lies, and the prince of the power of the air. Technology is emerging as a great unifier over all the nations in this world. Big tech misinformation is a popular concern, and the various goals of technology move instantaneously through the airwaves unseen, through algorithms and data codes. Indeed, the presence and implications of tech are a great phenomenological mystery of our age, one that will likely baffle humanity increasingly as it grows in power, efficacy, accessibility, and influence. Our only hope to reduce its influence over us is to assume our own agency, our own responsibility in reducing its influence over us. Otherwise, we will voluntarily become its victims, even as we complain that it's victimizing us. Next thing we know, we're no longer living our own lives, but the lives of avatars in a video game, others on our social media feed, or handsome actors or actresses in a movie or television series. The unpopular truth is that God's plan for our lives is much more real and exciting than any video game, movie, or social media feed. America is leading the charge in big tech, and big tech is undeniably similar to Babel. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that I can pick up my phone right now and call a friend or comment on somebody's post with a smiley face or a unicorn emoji. I like that I can go on the internet and watch funny cat videos. And I guess you could say America made that all possible. American inventors created the first TV, the first telephone, video game console, computer, and social media platform, as well as the airplane. America's freedom allowed inventors to create some of the most useful things known to mankind. Unfortunately, in many cases, they become weapons of self-destruction and defamation in others, in the hands of those with the knowledge of good and evil. But I don't blame this on the inventors, or even on the consumers, but on the Babylonian desire for human beings to skyrocket forward past their boundaries, without ever pausing to consider their true aim or why those boundaries were put there in the first place. My point is this: in the age of unlimited information, unlimited capabilities, one would think that we would finally have enhanced our humanity and entered into the age of unlimited reason, heightened compassion. The opposite has happened. In many ways, humanity has become more numb, desensitized, bitter, confused, strange, and willing to believe wholeheartedly in whatever meme or headline glimmers at any given moment. In our quest for ultimate reason, once again, we have sought to become as gods, while leaving God behind and telling him we will see him at the finish line. Fortunately, well, perhaps unfortunately for us, God is actually much more omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent than we are, even if we get the new iPhone. He has the power to use tech tower we are building for our knowledge or as a weapon of confusion in order to humble us and scatter us throughout the earth or throughout the airwaves. Maybe in all this confusion, we can finally recognize that God created us for relationships with him and others, not with our phones. Instead of finding our validation through Instagram likes, we can find our value in Christ. Anything outside of this is just another clay brick in the Babylonian wall.